And so I'm going to share a strategy that I have called the G.I.V.E strategy, G.I.V.E. Come on in, more than welcome. And talk a little bit about LinkedIn. Oh, we will afterwards. I don't want to, everybody, I want that to be the freshest thing. Alright, so the first part of LinkedIn is to have a goal. So when you do LinkedIn or when you set your LinkedIn up, you want to know what the purpose of it is, because everybody has a different reason for having it. Some people just have it because they say that they have to have it. But then if you're not doing anything with it, it's kind of useless. Some people have it for a job search, and some people use it for business and marketing, since everybody in here, a majority of the people are business owners or run their own independent business. I'm going to be focusing on that side of LinkedIn. So what is your purpose? So if your purpose is marketing, then you have to go into it. It's different than if you were just trying to find a job and the way you set it up. So one of the things you'll have to do after you establish your goal is you have to generate interest in your profile, in you and what you do. So as Simon Sinek says, people don't buy what you do, they buy the why. Most people, when they talk about what they do, they talk about, this is what I do, this is how I do it. You want to buy some stuff. And a lot of times, people won't really relate to that unless they know why you do it and they know you from a personal level. And so LinkedIn can be a great tool for that. So here I have an example. I use my profile. Now mine's a little different because my company, Mass Mutual, they have regulations on what you can and can't do. So some of the stuff I'm going to say, I'm not doing it, but that's because I'm not allowed to do it. One of the first things you should do is change your URL down there in the corner. So this URL down here, a lot of people just leave it. The generic usually has a bunch of numbers after it. It doesn't look very good or clean. So if you go into your edit, you can edit your account settings. You can change it with your name if your name's unique enough. And if it's like my name, then you got to add something to it or make it fancy. Like I think Ron, you could probably get away with your name on there. I don't know, too many Ron Furiyamas. So, and then one of the key things you want to do to develop interest is your headline. The headline's the first thing people see. So mine's pretty generic. That doesn't really tell you anything. So a lot of people in various industries will just put generic things. But if you want to generate interest, it's a lot better if you can relate to your target market. And so if you have something where I help people do blank, I established this, and you can shorten it into like a little phrase where people can see that and catch their eye. Maybe it's a little unique. Like if everybody does, financial services professional, and they're looking through a bunch of financial services professional, and mine is something different. I help people with their retirement issues. That stands out a lot more. And at the end of the day, what you really want is you want to get people to click. You want them to either say, wow, I wonder what that's about, I want to learn more, and they click, or hey, I'm really interested in that, and they click on your link. And then when they do that, it takes them to the summary page, which I've blanked out again. Mine has to be regulated. But when you're in your summary, you want to be personal. You want to be relatable, again, talking to your target market. Some people, they want to do in the third person and talk about their company, or talk about themselves and say, oh, William Wallace is an established. But it just depends on what you want to do. But if you want to connect with people, it's better to use, I did this, this is a little bit of my background, this is who I am, so that people can relate to you on a more personal level without having ever met you. So they read the headline, hopefully they click, they see your summary. You can do that. Use keywords within that as well. So as you're telling your story a little bit about your passion and why you do what you do, use some keywords. You can use Google Analytics for this. It'll tell you what people are Googling, what they're searching. And so you can search Google Analytics, find some keywords, and put them in there naturally. You don't want it to be awkward and stand out, like, big fancy word in the middle of this personal story. You want to make sure it's all relatable and it fits. And include your contact info. Of course, there is a contact info section, but you don't want to make people work harder than they have to. People are inherently lazy, especially when they're just clicking around on LinkedIn. And so if you don't have it up there, their interest level is like 10 milliseconds. So they see it, they're like, oh, that's really cool. Oh, but I have to click on this link. I'm over it now, and I'm moving on to the next thing. So include your contact info, phone number, emails, websites, anything that you have of value where they can go on and look further. Another thing you can do in the summary that a lot of people don't take advantage of is you can add audio and video. So if I was doing presentations a lot like this, and I record this, I can add this to my LinkedIn profile. I added an audio clip of me speaking at another event talking about my business a little bit, and it went really well, so I recorded that and put that on LinkedIn as well. And even if you don't have those tools, you can do a testimonial. So if somebody likes what you're doing or they like your work and they're like, oh yeah, I really enjoy it, record them saying how much they really like what you do and put that on, add that to your summary and give people some little more depth of what you're doing. The next thing you want to do is you want to have visibility. So it's good to have all that stuff, but if people aren't seeing you, then what's the use of having that? So you want to make sure you utilize your connections, both for yourself and for other people. So when you connect with people, look at their connections. If you're trying to reach a certain market, if you're trying to get into, say, the teachers, you want to meet a lot of teachers, and you know this person and they have a few teacher friends, then feel free to talk to them and connect with them and see if they'll introduce you to those people. And when they know more about you and what you do, that should be a lot easier. There are also ways, and we can get into another class later, there are also ways where you can contact that connection, a second connection, cold, and do it in a non-annoying manner. But you can also use your connections if you know, like if I talk to Ron or if I talk to Yoichi and I know Yoichi's trying to meet a certain person and I'm connected to that person, feel free to volunteer that information to people and you'll be a lot more valuable to them if you are giving. And that's the ultimate key to succeeding in these businesses and owning your own business, is to give more than you receive. And then usually you'll get rewarded. Utilize your status updates. So the more people see you and they see your name, they can start to associate you with what it is that you do. And then when questions come up, they know who to contact. Now, one of the things I was taught, a friend of mine told me for status updates that he does, is he'll do a Monday through Thursday thing where he'll start on Monday, he'll write something broad about his industry, and he'll just post that, hey, this is a little bit about my industry. And then he'll post something on Tuesday, maybe a little more specific about what he does or how he helps somebody. And then on Wednesday, he'll do something completely off topic, something funny or uplifting to help people through the middle of the week. And then on Thursday, he might talk about something personal that he's about to do on the weekend to help him connect with people. And when you keep doing this, it'll establish you as this person knows what they're doing, they're constantly active, and so when people start having those questions, you'll be the freshest thing on their mind. Access groups. You can access up to 50 groups on LinkedIn. I wouldn't recommend doing all 50 because they email you every time something happens. But I would focus on the areas that's most important to you. If you have a certain particular area you're trying to be in there, be an expert in that group. So if people have questions, answer their questions, post things, post information. As people comment on it, feel free to contact them. And that's a perfect opportunity. If somebody comments, they're like, oh, this is really good information. Send them a message, say, thank you, I'm glad you appreciated it. If you ever need anything, you can contact me directly, and then that gives you another person, and you've just expanded your network. And a lot of people like to talk about their products. Of course, everybody is amped up about their products, or else you wouldn't be selling it, right? So the projects section is a great opportunity to do that. So in the project section, you can put all the products that you have and the offerings, so if people really want to dig, if they don't want to go to your website or any of that stuff, it's going to be right there on LinkedIn. And the thing with LinkedIn is you can put the groups wherever you want the sections. You can shift all the sections around. So if you want it right under the summary, so right when they read your summary, they have access to your projects, then you can do that as well. And then the final part is the expertise. So as you're taking people on this journey and you're building the interest and you're building your visibility, the expertise usually will come with that. So as you start saying all these things and posting these things, people will realize you have the expertise. But another way you can take advantage of that is through your work experience section. Now mine, again, is a certain way, but if you have a lot of work experience that isn't related to what you're doing now, that's not really going to help you. And when people start looking through that, it might confuse people a little bit. So try to tie in some of your past experiences, no matter what it is, try to tie it into what you do now if it's not related. Even then, otherwise I would consider maybe removing that, so then when people see this, you want to build basically a past history of, you know, I've been doing this for X amount of years, and so then that lends to your expertise. And then here was my SoundCloud. I went on SoundCloud. It was one of the things I used to put my audio, so that's my audio from when I did a EE presentation about finance. So that's it right now for the basics. I am offering myself here today at 1 after we're done here. If you want to stay and you want to learn more specifics to your situation, please feel free to stay and talk to me then. I will also be doing it next week as well at the end of that presentation. We have a guest speaker next week, so he'll be talking more about social media in depth. But if you guys have any questions on LinkedIn, feel free to contact me now or anytime during the week, and I'll be happy to help you out as best I can. Well, thank you.